Oh, chaps. Excuse me. We'll do it a little bit different than lately, in that on August 20th, 1940, Winston Churchill rose in the House of Commons, as he had done many times now in his life, but since May 1940, becoming Prime Minister, and delivered a speech that became known partly as the few speech, where the salient quote is, "Never in the field of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to so few." Churchill had been to RAF Uxbridge in what is, I guess, northwest London, but sort of is great just outside what we know as London in a way, and had been sitting there as bombers were coming over relentlessly, never giving up on what they were doing, of course. One of the hardest days of the Battle of Britain. And as I say, it was a fairly relentless day of attacks. Hundreds of aircraft coming over parade and attacking airfields and docks and the like. Churchill was apparently quite moved by it, and driving out of there with one of his members of staff, General Harold Ismay, nicknamed Pug, he said, "I am moved," and said something in the words of, never in mankind has so much been owed by so many to so few." And apparently Ismay said in his memoirs that Jesus had his disciples Prime Minister, and so Churchill changed the wording. Either way, it's one of his most famous speeches, along with Blood, Toil, Tears and Sweat, Fight on the Beaches and Their Finest Hour, all of which were delivered in the dark period when Germany was invading France, when Dunkirk was being evacuated, and just before France signed the armistice. All of them, including the few speech delivered in the House, not on radio. They were broadcast on radio at some point, but long after the event, or at least after 1940. And so the few were immortalised forever and a day. In fact, if you look about, and I'll quote the link, in the description, the few was part of a long speech that he gave in the House of Commons, and part of it was dealing with France, and part of it was the course of the war in terms of lend-lease and trying to get the Americans on board, and Canada and everything, and bases and what have you. And it ends with the words, "For my own part, looking out upon the future, I do not view the process with any misgivings. I could not stop it if I wished. No one can stop it. Like the Mississippi, it just keeps rolling along. Let it roll. Let it roll on full flood. Inexorable even, irresistible, benignant to broader lands and better days." The few speech served to inspire people, some people anyway. Of course, Battle Britain pilots were, some of them, with their particular sense of humour, made fun of it, and I don't think it was, from what I've read, it wasn't entirely well received by them. But long after the dust settled, they were immortalised as the few. And the few, there will always be historically. Because physically, it's almost over. So that was August 20th, and the battle is not yet won.